Meetings, and more meetings. As you rise to the position of a department head, organization head, or an operation head, meetings are something which gets more and more frequent. Meetings are time consuming, meetings are exhaustive, meetings are necessity, but when we do not stick to a couple of points, meetings become pretty exhaustive and draining. You all must have heard about that old office joke. When my boss does not have anything to do, he actually calls for a meeting. This is a joke which has been going on within every organization that we can talk about. Every organization has a mindset like when there is nothing to be done, a meeting is called because meeting seldom yields any good results. I hardly get any chance to speak about my points, and hardly any effective decisions are taken there. But honestly, meetings are a two-edged sword. One way it can be, energy draining, exhaustive, but if used in the proper way, it could be the best way to include subordinates and their voice in the growth journey of an organization. So, keeping in mind three simple points would yield much better result when we are talking about meetings in an organization. The first point, obviously, is a good agenda. When we talk about agenda, many of times I have found in my professional life also, when an agenda is being asked to be prepared, people tend to include everything and anything that needs to be spoken to the decision maker, to the director or the department head. You need to understand a meeting is not a brainstorming session of all the prevailing issues in an organization or within the department. A meeting is considered effective when it is well planned, to the point, and very few points to discuss about, and those are the points which could be the showstoppers. Those are the points which needs to be solved, which needs to be discussed no matter what, because that might impact first the production of the organization, second the service which is provided to the customer, third the internal departmental operation. If these three things are impacted, those points needs to be discussed in a meeting. And a meeting is a very, very well defined platform wherein the subordinates can put forward their points. In the other session, I have always mentioned, see, there are two different types of people who attend the meetings. First, who are organizing it, second, who are attending it. Lot of times I have seen people who are attending the meeting, they also come to the meeting without any preparation. They believe they are just going to be listeners, but that is not going to yield better result. When you know from the agenda the points of the meeting to be discussed, you need to prepare your points also, your viewpoints, your observation, and your inputs in a very structured way. And during the meeting, you could raise your hand and you could put forward your point of view. What would that do is your points get heard, you put the points in a structured way, the organization includes it, takes a note of it, and maybe works on that. Second thing is you also get noticed or included in the decision making team because people understand in the management that you are somebody who's trying to understand the agenda of the meeting and putting forward relevant information for the organization to include in their decision making. So an agenda is very important, and if you are that person who's organizing the meeting, make sure that you organize it in a way wherein the agenda is very simple to follow, couple of points, and people feel inclusive that they would come forward and give their feedback about those points. Second, if you are organizing the meeting, make sure that you beforehand mention the date, time, and the venue of the meeting. Many a times I have seen that team members run from this room to another room, and because half they have written, half they have read the mail, maybe it was not clear in the mail also. Why not use the calendar option, and you set the meeting and you set it a reminder for everybody. In that way, this meeting gets included in everybody's calendar, and when they open their Outlook or their mailbox, they get a pop-up about the meeting. They have the agenda, they have the time, they have the venue and everything. So please be constructive while you are putting forward that agenda. A lot of people believe that, oh, I've been working so hard to put forward all these points, and these are something very basic. But the thing is, if the basics are not clear, it's no point working on the points of discussion. So the agenda has to be very clearly stated, conveyed to the people who would be joining. You need to ensure that maximum attendance is there, because what is discussed in the meeting room needs to be heard by the subordinates who are going to work on those process and who are going to impact directly, because only then they know they are on the same page. They know that their decisions are inclusive. If you are the organizer, you need to give a direction to the meeting also. Yes, it is true that the meetings are for brainstorming, for talking about points, or discussing points of views and including others' points and everything. But many times it so happens that when you give time for a particular person to put forward the point, he or she gets carried away. He or she gets irrelevant to the points which needs to be spoken about, or rather with which the person started communicating. It drifts away from this to that. It happens in multiple operation, parallel running operation. It happens that there are complaints, there are challenges, there are points to be discussed with the management, but you need to make sure that your point of view is aligned to the agenda. So if you are the organizer, just as a good TV anchor, when you must have seen those TV reality shows and other shows, wherein in the news channels also, wherein the speaker tends to get a bit drifted. The anchor politely cuts him off and puts the questions relevant to the agenda and asks again, and gets the feedback, and again moves from that person to another person. So when you are that person who's organizing the meeting or conducting the meeting, you need to make sure that you put the people's feedback as aligned to the agenda of the meeting. Otherwise, it will be all discussion, it will be all brainstorming, but the end of it, it will be that the main topics of discussions remain undiscussed. So when you are organizing it, make sure that you give the direction to the meeting. Make sure that you let the people talk for a proper time and let them put forward their points, and you need to make sure that you are taking proper notes of the feedback which is shared by the subordinates, because when you are taking the feedbacks as and when the meeting happens, while preparing the minutes of the meeting, you don't have to think, you don't have to go back and think like, okay, who said this point and why this was said and what was this point related to. So as and when you take down the notes, the minutes of the meeting is already made in your diary, and all you need to do is convert that into a soft copy and distribute among the people who have joined it. Please call for an action. Like there are a lot of discussions going on, there are a lot of things happening, but what needs to be done is, when a thing has to be done, the call of action is connecting a particular subordinate or connecting a particular department along with activity that needs to be done to fulfill that particular functionality. So you need to keep a note of who's been assigned what responsibility and what is the deliverable times. Like what is the agreement which everybody goes into and agreeing, like, okay, this we will get back to you in 10 days, or this we will get back to you in 5 days, or this we will get back to you EOD. So when you put forward this time frame, not only you put a reminder for yourself that, okay, I need to get back to this department, or I need to get back to this guy with this feedback so and so days. The other person also believes that he or she is also answerable, and he or she needs to work and get this feedback, get this answer, get these things, the information as requested. And because in 5 days from now, he or she has to report back to you or the other senior managers. So the third point is keeping it to the point. See, when a meeting starts, it's absolutely okay. You talk about the teams, the challenges happening, you offer tea, and you ask about the well beings, and everything is fine. But the thing is, when you are organizing the meeting, you have to constantly focus like, what is the purpose with which this meeting has been conducted or meeting has been called off. So, the points, the agenda, the points which are there, you need to let's say cross tally with those points to the feedback which you are receiving from the subordinates and which is coming up from the meeting. So, okay, these 5 points we were supposed to discuss. These are the 5 feedbacks that we got from various departments or various subordinates or various individuals, and these are the activities that needs to be done. These are the plan of action. This is what has to be assigned to this person, and accordingly keeping it to the point, because lot of time it happens that people start with something, and to justify that present challenge they bring more challenges yet to be solved, yet remaining pending, or yet that mail to be answered. But that is not the point. The point is, if this is the agenda, if this has to be worked upon, obviously the other things has to be taken care of. This is goes without saying. So if there is a mail pending, if there is a feedback pending, if there is a ticket which is unresolved with the technical team or the support team, those better get done by that 5 days or 4 days which is agreed upon in the meeting. Because after 5 days, when you have to give that feedback, you need to get back along with the feedback of other previous work also, because other previous works remain undone, cannot yield the result that you are expecting with the present agenda. So you need to keep it to the point, you need to keep it aligned to people, you need to make sure that people are being let's say aligned with their skill sets as to who needs to deliver what and why this is being expected from that particular person. Many a times it so happens that a particular person with a certain set of skill sets might be able to add an input to these present channels, whereas the person is asked to provide feedback on a completely different scenario, and what happens is there is a gap in between the skill sets and the deliverables, and it takes a lot of time. The result: delay, procrastination, and customer loyalty impacted. So you don't want that old joke to return to you, like my boss does not have any work to do, he calls for a meeting. If you don't want to be that boss who is joked upon, who is laughed upon at behind, make sure that you make your meetings count. You make sure that the meetings stay within the time that you talk about, half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour max to max. But more than that, the meeting never can have the concentration of your team, or even your focus is bound to get diverted. You need to understand one thing: this is the production hour, this is the production man hour, and the many people who joins the meeting, those man hours is, even if you are conducting a meeting for 1 hour and it is not fruitful, if that meeting is attended by 30 members, that means the organization is losing 30 working hours. It's not 1 hour which is lost, it is 30 hours which is lost by the organization, which could have been used in a much productive way. So to have the meetings in a very productive, in a constructive way, first thing is you need to have the agenda well framed. You need to give the meeting a direction. Third, the most important point is you need to keep it to the point, aligned to what the agenda was said. So guys, with that note, today, this is Friday, and as we always used to say, TGIF, take care of yourself. I know the workload is a lot with the work from home. The household chores have to be done, and the work is there and everything is there. So please take care of your health, take care of your mental health also. You read some books, listen to some music, and we are always there at Career Counseling to share our inputs with you. So please visit our Facebook page, which is Career Counseling Online. You can communicate with us directly through LinkedIn group, which is Career Counseling Online. And you might also like to visit our website, which is careercounselingonline.co.in. And we would be working on whatever you are facing together. So guys, with that note today, take care of yourself, take care of your health, take care of your family, stay positive, stay strong, and stay safe. And as I always end the sessions, learn, implement, and evolve. With that note today, goodbye for now.